Greetings, Series 7 test takers. This is Series 7 Guru coming to you from my studio here in fabulous Las Vegas. The best free supplement to your paid study materials is my YouTube channel. But if you're interested in paid supplement, I highly recommend the Kaplan QBank. If you have the Kaplan QBank already, you can just send me a QID and I can bring it up and help you out with the question. If not, we'll help you with any questions, but just easier if it's Kaplan. For that commercial, by the way, if you don't have a Kaplan QBank, you can get one with my Guru 10 discount code for about $60. I recommend the quick sheets as well. That's a little under $20 for that commercial. Kaplan allows me to give you a free look on questions. So one thing you need to be aware of as a test taker is there are only three things that can happen to an option contract. The option contract can be traded, the option contract can be exercised, or the option contract can expire. Now, on the test, I'm not under an obligation to tell you whether the option was exercised or expired. You should know that if at expiration of the contract has no intrinsic value, if it has no intrinsic value, it will expire worthless. Be careful. Is that good news or bad news? That depends. And if at expiration, it does have intrinsic value, it will be exercised. Now, in the test, a lot of times they don't want to tell you, you bought the thing for X, you sold it for Y, what is the gain or loss? So in, class, when I'm teaching time value and intrinsic value, I always say, listen, you got to get a little more comfortable with intrinsic value, because a lot of times on the question, they might say you close it out for intrinsic value. And so a lot of people struggle with this idea of closing it out. So what I want to illustrate in this little explication is an example of a closeout. Right? Very similar. So here, we're not going to, this isn't a lecture about combinations. I'm just showing you the mechanics here. Okay, so we make our T, fire up the T. If you're a student of mine, fire up the T to track the money. So I like to use dollars out, dollars in. Some people like to use plus signs, minus sign, whatever floats your boat. So here on QID 1420611, the customer is long a 40, call it 6. And long a 50, put it 8. I like to do things on a per share basis. And then when I'm all done, multiply by whatever the number is, right? Now, this is where people get hung up on the closeout. So here, what we've done is an opening purchase. And opening purchases, test question, are used to establish or add to a opening purchases are used to establish or add to a long position. Opening sales are used to establish or add to a short position. So these were opening purchases, dollars out. So our net here, our net debit is 14. So that's what we got to kind of, beat to, break even here. Now, the way we offset opening purchases is with what's called closing sales. Closing sales are used to eliminate or reduce a long position. So here's an example now of a closeout. It says that both options are sold for intrinsic value when the stock's at 44. Now, what I like to do, again, it's a buffet, take what you like, leave what you don't. But I like to put the market price either above or below my strike just to make my analysis a little easier. Right, so I'm just taking that market price. And now they're saying I'm closing it out for intrinsic value. Both options are sold. That's, by the way, this is the same phraseology as closeout. They could have said if both options are closed out for intrinsic value. Again, testing on, do you understand this phraseology? Very testable. And the closing sales are used to eliminate or reduce a long position. And a short position, that would have been opposite, right? So anyways, now that's what we're going to do. We're simply going to close it out at intrinsic value. Now, obviously, if you don't want to know what intrinsic value is here, you're going to be in trouble. So the intrinsic value of a 40 call with the stock at 40, call up, the market price is up from the strike price, is 4 points. It's very likely that that contract may get exercised. That's not what they're asking us about right now. And here, the intrinsic value of the 50 put is 6. And so it looks like Houston, we have a problem. We have a problem on the closeout because we established this for a debit of 14. And now we've closed it. I can show this where you spread. If you go to my YouTube channel, there's a whole lecture on closing out spreads doing the same process. If you'd like to see that, just let me know. So we're out 14 here. By the way, this is a long straddle with different strike prices. This is a combination. Now we brought in 10. And so when we close this out and they ask us what is the gain or the loss, we would say here we have a 4-point loss, right? So let's just review. There are three things that can happen to an option contract. The option contract can be traded. The option contract can be exercised. The option contract can expire. If you're trading the option, that means you're doing a closing transaction. You're either doing a closing sale because you're eliminating or reducing a long position, or you're doing a closing purchase because you're eliminating or reducing a short position. So it's important to know what you're doing. Now, when we open the position, we go long, that is an opening purchase. So here it says an investor establishes the following positions. And so now we look at the following positions: long a 40 call at 6 and long an April 50 put at 8. Fire up the T. If you can track money and you're not struggling with contract specifications, in other words, you know that that's a choice to buy the stock at 40 and a choice to sell the stock at 50, you can track money, you're going to get every option question correct. All right, so the offset, so if they say close out, I've done an opening purchase, actually purchases, right? I bought a 40 call and I bought a 50 put, and the offset that is going to be a closing sale. A closing sale is, or sales, are used to limit or reduce that position. So again, if you get a T, that's one of the reasons I'm such a big believer in a T, because it almost makes you close it out correctly, right? So if you're not using a T, I highly recommend you do so. Anyway, so now it says we close out for intrinsic value. Now, again, you're going to be stuck if you don't know call up, put down. Call up if the market price is up from the strike price, the contract has intrinsic value. Put down if the market price is down from the strike price, it has intrinsic value. So this is a 44. So my 40 call has 4 points of intrinsic value, and my 50 put has 6 points of intrinsic value. And now I'm going to do the offset. We might even use that phraseology, offset. So now I'm selling, I'm trading the option. I'm going to be using a closing sale. And my closing sale, I'm going to do that for 4, that for 6, and ultimately that means I have a 4-point loss. Hope you found that helpful. If you'd like me to do this with a spread, let me know, and I'm more than happy to do that for you as well. Remember, inch by inch, Series 7 is a cinch. Yard by yard, Series 7 is hard.